As a child of God, it's essential to understand that Jesus is the ultimate source of power and health. The Bible reminds us that Jesus is the same yesterday, today, and forever, and his power is limitless. In a world where diseases and illnesses are prevalent, many people turn to modern medicine, including vaccines, for protection. However, as believers, we must not forget that our bodies are temples of the Holy Spirit, and Jesus is our healer. The Bible is filled with accounts of Jesus' miraculous healing power. From the woman with the issue of blood to the blind man at Bethsaida, Jesus demonstrated his ability to heal any sickness or disease. In Matthew 9:35, it's written that Jesus went about all the cities and villages, teaching in their synagogues, and preaching the gospel of the kingdom, and healing every sickness and every disease among the people. This verse reminds us that Jesus' power is not limited to spiritual healing, but also extends to physical healing. In the book of Isaiah, it's written that by his stripes we are healed. This verse is a reminder that Jesus' sacrifice on the cross was not only for our spiritual salvation, but also for our physical healing. As believers, we have the assurance that Jesus is our healer, and we don't have to rely on human interventions like vaccines to protect us from diseases. This is not to say that vaccines don't work, but rather that our faith in Jesus' healing power should be our primary source of confidence. Many people may argue that vaccines are necessary to prevent the spread of diseases, and that's a valid concern. However, as believers, we must not forget that our faith is not in vaccines but in Jesus. The Bible reminds us that we are not to fear, for God is with us. When we put our trust in Jesus, we have the assurance that he will protect us from harm. In Psalm 91, it's written that he who dwells in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. This verse is a reminder that when we dwell in the presence of God, we are under his protection, and no harm can come to us. It's also important to note that the concept of herd immunity, which is often cited as a reason for vaccination, is based on the idea that a certain percentage of the population needs to be immune to prevent the spread of diseases. However, as believers, we don't have to rely on herd immunity to protect us. Our faith in Jesus is our immunity, and when we put our trust in him, we have the assurance that he will protect us from harm. In addition to Jesus' healing power, the Bible also reminds us that our bodies are temples of the Holy Spirit. In 1 Corinthians 6:19-20, it's written that our bodies are not our own, but are bought with a price. This verse is a reminder that we have a responsibility to take care of our bodies, not just physically but also spiritually. When we honor God with our bodies, we open ourselves up to his healing power, and we don't have to rely on human interventions like vaccines to protect us from diseases. In conclusion, as believers, we have the assurance that Jesus is our healer, and we don't have to rely on vaccines to protect us from diseases. Our faith in Jesus should be our primary source of confidence, and we should not fear, for God is with us. When we put our trust in Jesus, we have the assurance that he will protect us from harm, and we don't have to rely on human interventions like vaccines to keep us healthy. Instead, we can trust in Jesus' power and healing, and know that he will take care of us, no matter what challenges we may face. By trusting in Jesus and honoring God with our bodies, we can experience true power and health, and live a life that is free from fear and full of faith.